Welcome to episode 112 of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name's Trent. I'm joined by Jason, and we've got a lot of great stuff to talk about this week.
We do. It's packed.
Yeah, packed with a lot of concerts that we had went to, some music, and our guest this week is Schuylar Croom from He Is Legend.
Yes, definitely.
So that's very cool. We got a good 25-30 minute chat with Schuylar about their new album that's coming out. And some random other stuff, like Stevie Nicks' body parts. You'll find all about that here in a bit.
Stay tuned.
Yes. Well, just right out the gate, last night was Green Day. How was that?
Fuck you.
Okay. Got that out of the way.
Okay.
Got that joke out of the way.
You know what?
I would rather be
tired. I like Green Day.
Okay.
Eat a dick.
Then why didn't you go?
Well, I don't like Green Day enough to go to BOK Center and see them and pay, I don't know, $70, whatever. I don't know. I would have liked to have seen them back in the day at Brady Theater on their Warning tour when it was kind of acousticy and stuff. But it doesn't matter.
I could see that, I guess.
I dig Green Day. You've always given me shit, and you can always suck a dick for it. I like Green Day. Deal with it.
Look, here's the deal. I'd rather be punched in the balls by Mike Tyson in his prime than have to hear Boulevard of Broken Dreams or When September Ends live. Or Good Riddance. That's Bush Glycerin level horrible.
You know what? I don't begrudge you for that. Those aren't what I like to listen to when I think of Green Day.
Okay, yeah.
And I probably will never listen to those songs.
I had that first,
they've got a lot of great songs.
Yeah, I had that first major label album, Dookie, and I thought it was good at the time, I guess. But
it's still good.
I realized, you know, there's real punk bands out here, not this radio
Jesus Christ
pop punk crap. This Blink 182 crap.
Man.
How did we get off on this tangent?
You brought it up, fucker.
You know what's going on tonight is R. Kelly. Are you going to be at that?
No, I won't.
Okay.
I know you will because you want to get peed on.
Yeah, I like to get trapped in the closet.
What the fuck, man?
And peed on by R.
Let's get
Kelly.
back to Jesus Christ.
Hey, you're egging it on.
You brought it up. This right here. This is the end of the beginning of the end right here, people. We're starting to fight. The cracks are starting to show. Here you go.
This is like Guns N' Roses in about 1993.
Yeah.
Okay.
So keep it up, Trent.
Okay. Well, let's just get into some real news, which is Danko Jones just came out with a new album that is phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
And if you don't follow Danko Jones, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because that's just...
I can't help you. I don't know exactly.
It's just rock and roll at its finest. What do you say? It's like AC/DC. You know what you're going to get. Danko Jones is the same way in that category. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it never gets stagnant, but it never strays too far from what Danko Jones is about. And you're always going to get punch. You're always going to get groove, and you're always going to get, just attitude, and just badassedness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wildcat, this new album, that first single, My Little R&R, could be the best song that's come out so far this year, as far as single-wise goes. But you get into this album like Success in Bed, the title track, Going Out Tonight. These are all great tracks.
You Are My Woman.
Yeah, and that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
You Are My Woman, which the first time I heard that, I'm like, is this a Thin Lizzy song that I don't know about? Is this a cover song? So, seriously, when it was over, I Googled it.
Yeah.
And then I found an article where he was talking about how it was their ode to Thin Lizzy. So, there you go.
Yeah.
And that song is one of those songs that's so good that you're thinking, this lets me know that everything's going to be all right.
That's right.
Like, there could be a terrorist attack right now 20 feet from us.
But put that song on.
Yeah, and that song plays right after it.
Yeah.
You'd know that shit's gonna be all right.
It's a tumultuous time in our nation's history. But our three friends from the north in Danko Jones, Canada, are here to let us know it's okay.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's why Danko Jones was put on this earth.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've got a couple little Danko Jones notes for you.
Okay.
I just do want to bring up the time that, I saw them at Diamond Ballroom in Oklahoma City and you didn't.
Right.
And they blew Volbeat off the stage. So
okay.
Just wanted to, make that jab again.
I know.
It was phenomenal.
They're still on my bucket list.
You should have been there.
They've been on my bucket list for like 8 years.
And also, I want to tell everybody, go look up, I can't remember exactly which album it's on. I'm sorry. But the song Active Volcano is like one of his best fucking songs ever. You will hit repeat on that like fucking 14 times.
It's on Below the Belt.
Okay. Well,
which is still my favorite album by them. That's how I know.
Look it up. It is great, great, great.
Like Dynamite is also on that album, which is
that's
fantastic.
a good one too, man.
Full of regret.
Yeah.
Had Enough. Magic Snake. I think
right.
Bad Thoughts. That whole album.
I just heard that last night and the end of,
But then the early stuff.
It's a night in Satan's service.
Yeah, right. Then the early stuff like First Date, all this phenomenal catalog.
Yeah.
But get out and pick up this new album, Wildcat, or download it, whatever you do.
Yeah. It's insane. It's great.
It's great rock and roll. Well, speaking of great rock and roll, last week, we've got about 4 shows here we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Each of us hit 2 of them. And is that right? Yeah.
I think so.
And, well, the first one we both attended, which was Tesla.
Yeah.
And this is, I forgot to mention beforehand, this episode's pretty eclectic here. We've got everything from hard rock to, we're going to talk about Irish punk to roots rock, alt country, whatever you want to call it, to heavy metal, to however you want to describe He Is Legend.
Yeah.
Alt, metalcore, whatever. So yeah, this is pretty eclectic, but hard rock at its finest is what you would describe Tesla as.
Yes.
They played Tulsa at the Brady Theater, and as usual, they never disappoint.
No, I mean, it was a great set. I mean, they were on, we were up close. It was a great view. Probably one of the best times I've seen them.
Yeah. What was I going to say about this? I don't know. Well,
but I do know what it was like the 26th, 27th time for you to see him.
28.
Jesus Christ. Way to go, Trent.
Right.
I've never done anything 28 times.
I'm a fanboy. What can I say?
Well, other than like drink beer and fart, but I mean, you've got that's what Tesla you've seen. That's amazing.
Well, thanks.
Just saying.
I mean, you can't. It's there's some bands I couldn't see 28 times because it would just bore me.
Yeah.
I couldn't see Chevelle for 28 minutes, let alone 28 times.
God.
But Tesla is one of those bands. They've been one of my favorite bands since I was a kid. And, in the last few years, their sets have got kind of repetitive, which is my only gripe. But
yeah, I get that.
At the same time, I like this stuff enough that I keep going back. So obviously, it hasn't turned me away. Yeah. So it's
I've looked up their sets. I haven't seen them obviously as many times. I think that was my 8th time to see them. I think.
Okay.
And their sets are a little generic. For my taste because I'm a dork. But I haven't seen them. And it's been a few years since I've seen them, so I was happy to get anything,
Yeah.
And Little Susie was great. Edison's Medicine was great. I really like the opening song MP3. I like that song, so that was really, and it was just great to see that so up close. That's always never disappoints.
Right. Yeah, MP3 is one of the better songs they've put out.
I agree.
On their last couple albums. And then they played Save That Goodness, which was the new song that they put on the live album that Phil Collin co-wrote with them. That's just a fantastic song. And that was probably one of the highlights, and I was surprised at, people around me, how many people knew it. So that was good to see.
Yeah.
And then it's just one of the things that brings me back is, Jeff Keith has always been one of my favorite vocalists, even though he's not like a world class. You don't think of him when you think of like Rob Halford or something, but it's just, I've just always identified with what he does and loved it. But Frank Hannon, watching him play guitar can never get old.
Yeah.
I could go 28 days in a row and just stare at him and be completely content.
Yeah. I mean, that guy's a wizard, and he really rides that line between a great classic rock guitar player and a shredder. He straddles that really good. He's got elements of both equally, I think. And I always really liked how him and Dave Rude were always changing guitars, and every guitar they played was badass, and that was just a little added visual extra, you know.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, in today's technology, you could take a fucking plastic guitar and run it through a badass amp and it would sound like any kind of guitar. But, you know, just seeing all those different guitars and stuff was really cool. You know, it was, and he, you know, he played the theremin on the Edison's Medicine. It was great. Right. I loved it.
Yeah, it was cool that, you know, I've seen a bunch of their headline shows over the last few years, and this run they're doing now in between, before, you know, running up before these Def Leppard dates that they've been touring with Def Leppard the past couple years as an opener, which is a good thing for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the first time they've kind of upped it, and they've got screens and, you know, all kinds of crap going on, which they, you know, before have always just been one of those no frills rock bands, which is cool. That's one of the things you love about them. And still the screens, it's not flash, you know, it's still no frills, but it's, you know, they're upping the game a little bit, I guess. So anyway,
and let's not forget to mention that they kind of had a acoustic middle of the set.
Oh, that's right.
Where they kind of brought the acoustics out and brought a smaller drum kit for Troy to play. Yeah. That was really cool. I like that.
Yeah, how they did Coming At You Live and Truckin', just like they did on Five Man Acoustical Jam.
I know, which I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Check out Tesla. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all you got to say.
Well, it's obviously not I'm going to say. We just talked about it for 5 minutes. But...
We're getting excited. Sorry.
Yeah.
So next up, right?
The very next night. Okay, let me say something before you say your part.
Okay, go ahead.
The very next night was Dropkick Murphys and the Interrupters at the Cain's Ballroom in Tulsa.
Yes.
And Dropkick Murphys are another band that's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
And you know, give you credit. Even on this podcast, a couple times you're like, hey, did you get your ticket yet? Did you get your ticket yet? And I was like, no, but I'm gonna.
Yeah.
And then I saw the Cain's Ballroom make a post on Facebook saying, not many tickets left. Better hurry and get them. So I'm like, all right. So later that day when I was at work, I went to get them and they were sold out.
Sold out.
There literally weren't many left. And I'm like, okay, I'm not worried. There was still like 3 weeks till a show.
Yeah.
And I wasn't worried because I just figured it was going to get canceled. You know, there's a joke for anyone from around here that knows their last 2 Oklahoma shows have been canceled for crazy reasons.
Yeah, storms and then some guy jumping in front of their bus and anyways.
Well,
look it up, yeah.
Leading up to it, you know, even the couple of days leading up to it, I would find people selling tickets and contact them, and I was too late. So I'm just like, well, I'm going to let it go. I'll see them eventually. But they're just one of those bands that was kind of like Alice Cooper was up until last year. That just every time they came, something happened.
Yeah.
Or something, it just kept eluding me because I was out of town or I had some kind of conflict. And Dropkick Murphys have always been that way. And there you go. I still haven't seen them. But you have. You've seen them many times.
Yes.
So let's hear about it.
Well, I've seen them many times. 6-7 years ago, went to Boston 2 years in a row to see their St. Patrick's Day shows. Saw them like 5 shows in a row the first year, and then the second year only saw like 3, but it was insane, you know, but I mean, it was just it was a great night. It was sold out, packed. I mean, you couldn't move. I mean, unless you were just going to hang out in the back. I mean, there was no one would stay still. Everyone was, you know, bumping into you, trying to get up front, trying to get in the back. It was chaos. It was ridiculous. But in any case, Blood or Whiskey opened up, and they're from Dublin, and they've kind of got that punk sound, but they're more of a flogging Molly. They've got more acoustic kind of thing going, you know. And then the direct support is the Interrupters, which I've championed many times on this podcast and just in, you know, normal everyday life. You know, I was listening to the Tim Timebomb show on Sirius a few years ago, and he played them, and I've loved them ever since. They've got like a punk ska kind of thing, and they're real professional and real rehearsed and professional. I just said professional. Polished, I meant. And it's just, you know, I love their message, you know, it's just kind of anti-establishment coming together kind of thing. And I was stoked to finally get to see them. I mean, they lived up to everything I wanted to see in their live show. You know, Amy Interrupter was all over the place, and she's, you know, tough, and she's got a tough voice, and, you know, she was all smiles, and I mean, it was just, and I've got to give credit to the rest of the guys in the Interrupters who are all brothers, you know, to jump around like that and to have all those backing vocals that sound like the record, you know, especially the bass player. He's doing all those walking ska bass lines and jumping around and singing at the same time, and it all sounds flawless. I was just super impressed. I was so glad I got to see these guys live. I told you they were like the Jackal of punk music. You know, they sound just like their record. They sound so good. It was insane. You know, it was like you put on their CD, you know, and so I was just really impressed and really happy to see them. And, then Dropkick Murphys, and I mean, it was, what can you say? It was great. I mean, they come on in a whole sea of green light, and, I mean, and they killed it. And, you know, they just come out swinging right from the start. You know, they're all over the stage. I mean, it was awesome. And, you know, they did a cover of, You're Just What I Needed by the Cars.
Wow.
Which was awesome. When they started it, I was like, are they really doing this? But then I thought, yep, they're doing this, and it ended up pretty cool.
So how did they do it? I mean, I assume they did it in their own style, or did they?
Yeah, I mean,
was it fairly close to the original?
It was close as in like tempo and stuff. I mean, obviously the guitars were heavier, but I mean, as in the format and the tempo and the style, they did it just the same way the original. It just sounded a little heavier because the guitars were louder and everything, you know.
I'm gonna have to look that up on YouTube.
Yeah. But you know, they opened up with The Boys Are Back, which they've opened up with that for quite a while.
Yeah.
But you know, they did old stuff, Barroom Hero, and you know, of course they did Shipping Up to Boston. They did a ton of new stuff from the 11 Short Stories of Pain and Glory album. And then I gotta say, you know...
Did they do Rose Tattoo?
Yes, they did Rose Tattoo. Yes. And, I've gotta say, for sure, you know, when everyone talks about Dropkick Murphys, it's I'm Shipping Up to Boston, it's, you know, Al Barr, Ken Casey, but I gotta give it up to Tim Brennan and Jeff DeRosa, which are the two kind of multi-instrumentalist guys, you know?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like there's any kind of set thing, and their sets are different every night if you look it up. So you don't know if you know, they've got to go grab an accordion or go grab a banjo or go grab a guitar, or one of them has to jump on a piano or something. And I mean, they just do it so just seamlessly. And you know, it's like those guys must get the ultimate workout, you know, and, to keep all that in your head and know each part and know each instrument. It's just, you know, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then I think the one highlight of it was when they did Dirty Glass, they decided, you know, let's have some Dropkick Murphys karaoke. And they brought up some girl from the audience and, to sing the female parts of that song. And this must have been the biggest fucking Dropkick Murphys fan in the world, because she knew every fucking word. She was going nuts. She even sang over Ken Casey. You know, she knew all his parts, so he just kind of laughed and stopped and let her sing. But God bless her, she was tone deaf as hell. She couldn't sing at all. And he even said, he goes, well, what you lack in talent, you made up for in enthusiasm, honey. Because she sounded terrible. But at the same time, it was great because she was so into it, and she knew every fucking word, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, that was that show. Really glad I went. It was a super fun time. So, sorry if I got a little long-winded there.
No, that's what we need. Well, the following night, I saw Sunvolt in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've seen them now. That was the fifth time in the past 3 or 4 years.
Do you count the Guthrie Green one?
Yeah, I think I counted that in that.
Cause this is 2 of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 2 of them at that point. That
Yeah.
guy's not there anymore, so.
Oh, that sucks.
Well, because Sunvolt's always been, not always, but after the first couple albums, they've been kind of a rotating cast of characters.
Okay.
Outside of Jay Farrar, obviously.
Yeah.
And I think he kind of tailors it to whatever he's doing at that time, because that's always changing as well, which is one of the things I really love about this band.
Yeah.
Which when they first kind of came out and got known with that album Trace, because of Drown, basically being a radio hit, I really dug him, but then, like a lot of people, I think I kind of lost track of him for quite a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to ask how you got back into him.
Well, the way I got back into him was in 2000, I think it was 13 maybe. I went to Bill Street Music Fest in Memphis.
Okay. Yeah.
And they were one of the bands. And when I saw that on the list, I'm like, I'm not going to miss this. I never saw them back then. I really dug them. Just that kind of thing. So got over there, saw them, and just absolutely loved it.
There you
and then
go.
kind of looked up the stuff that's came out, in the past few years and all that.
Okay.
And then he had this album come out called Honky Tonk about 3 years ago. And it's pretty much what it sounds like. It's not like a honky tonk, like barroom country album, but it's, for Sunvolt, it's as close to country as it's going to get, because you'd already consider them kind of an alt country or roots rock band.
Yeah.
And it's just like straight up clean. There was no rock to it, but it's a great album. And I saw him on that tour besides the Guthrie Green thing.
Okay.
2 other times.
Yeah.
Well, 3 times, I guess, if you count the Memphis, but I think that was before the album came out. But anyway, so he's playing tons of that stuff, tons of the slower stuff, so it was more of this laid back thing. And that's great, he's a master at that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, now this new album just came out a couple weeks ago, and it's back to sounding like Trace.
Okay.
The first album and the early stuff, where it had the rock vibe to it. And this was probably my favorite show. I've seen him just because I lean towards that stuff.
Yeah.
I love the slower stuff as well, but the rock stuff's really what I grasped onto early on. And this set list was it was either 25 or 26 songs.
Damn.
But they're Sunvolt songs, so it's like a Rancid show,
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, not that short, but close. They're like, it was like an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And that was, because all their songs are 3 minutes, 4 minutes at the most.
Mm-hmm.
And he talks during the songs, like, if you think of Phil and Selmno, think of the exact opposite.
Yeah.
You get like 7 words instead of 7,000 words.
Nice.
So it's just bam, bam, bam.
Yeah, definitely.
But anyway, yeah, all the stuff, it was heavy on the new album, heavy on Trace, and then heavy on the stuff in between there that had more of a rock vibe. And then there was a part in the middle, kind of like you talked about with Tesla, where he pulled out the acoustic and the harmonica, and there's probably 3 or 4 songs
Well, that's
with
cool.
that. And then the rest of the time, it was all rocking and people bobbing their head. And, he played like, obviously Drown and Windfall and Catching On and Root from Trace, and
Okay.
the new stuff from the new album, like Lost Souls and Midnight and all the stuff that's rocking. And so it was just really cool to get that experience, I think, to see this band more rock centric
Yeah.
than a lot of people are probably used to lately.
Nice.
And
nice.
from the lineup that he had with the honky tonk stuff, he had this guy Mike Spencer playing steel guitar, which was kick ass, and he was still there. So he was playing steel guitar, piano, and third guitar at times.
He's busy too.
Yeah, and then they had the bass player was a guy that was in the band for quite a while and has been gone for quite a while, and he came back. And then I think the other 2 guys, the drummer and the lead guitarist, were newer guys. But then at the end, he played an Uncle Tupelo song in the encore, which I don't think's that common.
Yeah.
And because everybody started going nuts, and I didn't even know the song.
Yeah.
And so I looked it up after the fact. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why all these geeks are going. That's why all these geeks are going nuts. It'd
They're
be
not
like
geeks. They're just hardcore, Trent.
Hey, I can say that because, we're that way
That's exactly.
If Tesla had played, Shine Away, we would have been geeks going nuts while everybody else around us would be like, what the hell is this?
I would have peed myself.
Right.
R. Kelly would have came earlier.
Right. Well, next up, I believe last Saturday night.
Yes.
I was out of town.
Yes.
But you were able to make it to the Downtown Lounge.
Yeah, went to Downtown Lounge and saw Less Than Human and Fist of Rage. And what a show that was. Less Than Human, we've seen Less Than Human a couple times, but like one time I saw him, it was opening for Trivium and got there kind of late and only kind of got to see one song and we were way in the back. And anyways, this is my first, full frontal Less Than Human experience. And I was blown away. I mean, the intensity and just the showmanship of this band, Chase and Colton, the brothers are just, I mean, they're a great fucking team to watch. The whole band, each person adds something. I mean, it was just intense and it was just kind of like a party vibe, but not like a corny, Poison party vibe. It was like badass fucking metal. And I mean, I don't know. That sounds corny, my description, because they're way better than that. But I mean, it was just like one of those, and they had such a draw and people knew the words and it was that was just so impressive to see. And, you felt like it was these guys are going somewhere. There's something bubbling here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had such a great vibe and it was like, something could just, their set was like something could just explode at any minute, It was so cool. And
what's awesome about that is that they're all really young still too.
Yeah. I mean, the sky is the limit for these guys. Seriously. And they were just super professional. It was their dad's birthday, so they brought him on stage and
oh, nice.
Yeah. And it was just, it was so fucking cool. I mean, they just really set just a positive vibe, for Fist of Rage. And Fist of Rage came on and they did an extended set, and man, it was just, they did like every song under the sun and they were on and, that really set a good, feel good kind of vibe, and, the Less Than Human guys were up there on the front of the stage just jamming out and,
which is always good to see.
Yeah, that's exactly what you want, you want everybody, together and supporting each other and, everybody had fun and, Andy, the singer, had on a hat with little, plush, turd poo things that like were stuck to his hat with Velcro and he'd throw it out and he'd like throw it back and try to get it stuck on his head,
Nice.
Because, that's what Andy does.
Right.
And, it was just such, and then that's also the cool thing about him is he does all this goofy stuff, but at the same time, he's just such a badass singer, and, Paulette held it down. I mean, Josh and V-Man, it was just a great fucking set. And, they, drinks were had and the night went on and they played more and more and they brought up some of the Less Than Human guys and it was just such a fun vibe. And, it's a great way to kind of, start off saying goodbye to Downtown Lounge, It was a good kickoff. And, I hope the rest of the shows at that venue are as good as that one was, it was such a fun night.
Yeah, they're kind of, like I mentioned with Dropkick and Alice Cooper up until recently, Less Than Human's like my local equivalent of that.
Yeah.
And along with Oklahombres. It's like it just keeps eluding me somehow. I mean, I was with you at that Trivium show where I saw one song, so I don't really count that as getting to see them.
But you gotta see these guys.
Yeah, I know that the time will come again soon.
Yeah.
And speaking of Speaking of that, I know they're friends with the Mr. Rogers. I'm gonna blow this. I was like in a hurry. Mr. Rogers' Intergalactic Sexual Experience.
That's right. MRIs. That's all you gotta think.
Right. With our buddy Trevor and Dakota.
Yes.
They're playing. I need to look. I had the date. We'll say it again before it comes time, but it's in April. They're playing their final show.
That's so good.
They announced that yesterday. But, maybe they'll reunite someday.
One can only hope.
Yeah. But yeah, go back and look for that episode. Anyway, that was, random throw in there for you. Well, we need to get into this. Before we do, let's play some music.
I was about to say, we got a song to play, don't we?
Yeah.
That's what people have been waiting for.
Yeah. You want some music so we can shut up for a bit? Your ears can cleanse by this beautiful music from ModernMyth. This song's called Atrophy. Atrophy from Modern Myth out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Great song, great guys. We've actually known these guys for quite a while. They used to be in a band called the Don Armada.
Yes.
Or 3 of the 5 guys did.
That's right.
Jake, the drummer, Johnny, the lead guitarist, and Aaron, the singer. So it's very cool to see them back with a new band making music. And I mean, this song is badass. I know you said it was, the production's slick. It
sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you want.
Yeah. High quality, and they've got a teaser up for a second song coming called Glow.
Yes.
Which sounds just as great, maybe even a little heavier. So we're looking forward to hearing that as well. You can find Atrophy on YouTube. There's a video up for it. It's also on Spotify. Just get on Facebook and look them up. Modern Myth is all one word.
Yes.
Follow them and like them. Be on the lookout for these guys because, they've got a great sound, and it's the type of thing that can take them places, and I hope does.
That's right.
Speaking of Modern Myth, they opened up for He Is Legend.
Exactly.
At the Downtown Lounge.
And here we are.
Like you mentioned with the Fist of Rage show, it was a good kickoff to this month.
Exactly.
Downtown Lounge is unfortunately closing its doors towards the end of the month. So they've got a lot of shows coming this month, and He Is Legend came back through. They've played there before. So very cool to have him back here in this final month. And we had the opportunity to talk to Schuylar for quite a little bit outside, before the show.
This is a pretty good conversation, pretty varied. And it was, pretty cool to get his insight on some stuff. So roll it.
Schuylar Croom from He Is Legend.
Hell, I'm surprised at all of it now. Nothing. Can't get it past me anymore.
Probably seen it all.
Most of it. Been a long time coming, I guess.
How's this run going so far?
It's cool. This is like just a little run to get out to Norma Jean.
Right.
Starts in Portland, so we're just on the way. Got that big long haul tonight to Salt Lake. Got a day to do it though, so.
Is that show tomorrow night?
No.
Okay,
We
so
got
you
a day
got
off
full
tomorrow.
out.
So.
Okay.
But it's still a fucking pisser of a drive, man. It's like 18 hours. And we're in that RV, so it's like, you gotta go slow and steady.
Yeah, definitely.
Whipping us all around today with this wind.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
What's the longest run you've ever done in one day?
I mean, we drove from Seattle back home one time. It's like 69 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And we did it straight, just stopped for gas. That was in our younger days when we were not afraid to cram like 8 dudes in a 15-passenger van,
Right.
3 people sleeping on the floor underneath the benches. Those days are long gone.
Yeah.
That probably got pretty smelly.
Yeah.
Few comes out here at the end of April, and we've got 2 singles so far.
Sure does.
Are those 2 songs a good indicator of what this album's going to sound like?
I think it's a pretty good indicator. They're kind of the juxtaposition of, I think He Is Legend's always had songs on the album that could be like Where We Go or Never Go Again. So I think these are 2 like kind of mainstay sounds that we have. But yeah, it's definitely it's a soundscape, I would say. And we, first record that we really, had to, or we were able to take our time and really work on it and hone in what we do. And it was a great process, with the crowdfunding campaign and everything. It just went off without a hitch. So we're pretty stoked about the whole thing.
When you listen to this and in your back catalog, how do you think it sits?
I think it's got a little of all of it. I think that's kind of where we were going. It's a little darker, but I think it has kind of a class. There's some of the heaviest stuff we've ever done is on this record. Some there's some very delicate parts to it, But yeah, I'd say it has a really good mix of most of what we do, what our sound has been over the years. You know, I think fans expect us to change a little bit in between each album. It's just kind of been organic, but this is definitely it's got this He Is Legend stamp on it. You know, like we're really proud of it. Stoked that people are finally getting to hear tracks and stuff. You know.
What was when you write and everything, is it a conscious effort to make it sound like something, or is it just like you said, organic? And
no, it's
previous stuff, is everything always organic?
It's very organic, mainly. Pardon me, I got lights. Me and Adam, the way that we kind of bounce around each other sonically, I think he comes in with the majority of the song kind of fleshed out in his head, which is it's been that way since we were very young kids, and we've just gotten better at that. You know, like the adaptation of how our sound moves and how structurally how we place ourselves on record. You know, it's like I think we've only gotten better with age at doing that and working together like that, and we definitely have our recording process down to like a science. You know, so in that respect, we just it's just like second nature to us to go in and get everything kind of laid out the way that we want it. And we do a pretty good job before we hit the studio knowing what's going on the record rather than having to flesh it out in the studio, so it works out nicely. But yeah, I mean, this recording at Warrior Sound, where we have done the last 2 records before this, it's just like home to us now, so we work well with our producer Al, owns the place. So yeah, it's just like, it's nice being up there in the country and just chilling out and putting down tracks. It's great.
Well, I was going to ask this question later, but you kind of touched on it now. I mean, with the diversity of, you guys can do all kinds of different stuff, but it's still He Is Legend. I mean, is anything off limits, or are you just open to anything? Like, is there something like, that's not us, or you just do it anyways?
I mean, I think that any artist, like if something comes out of you, it's of course if it say we wanted to start making like electronic music, it would probably be deemed a different name or title, or but with us, I think our sound is so dialed in that we just know what we're going to get out of it. Not that we would ever say like no to one thing or another, and we've dabbled in that world a little bit, but I think with us just being a like pretty straightforward rock and roll band, like just like relying strictly on the talents of each other, and I owe like my entire career to that, and vice versa, that we together have been He Is Legend for this long, and to continue that work. Like I don't think that we would say no to doing like an acoustic album if we wanted to, but that's just not something. That's not territory that we go delve into. Not that we were against any one thing. It's just like when we get together, we're thrashing, So whatever comes out. You can't say no to it.
True.
Well, you mentioned the crowdfunding thing, and that went off without a hitch.
Mm-hmm.
You went over your goal and everything. So, is that obviously something you would say is a great experience, and
I would
suggest other bands and that kind of thing?
I think that if you have the fan base to do it, or if you have if you have a goal in mind, or that you can reach and it was obtainable, I think that all bands should do it. Maybe some bands have better relationships with their record labels, and then they wouldn't have to do it. We were at a point where we were at our option with our record label, and we decided that it was time to try to see what we could do on our own. And I think that was kind of where doing this independently started. And then it just so happened that our friends from Spine Farm asked us, we had kind of overlooked the whole like, how do we get it into everyone's hands? How do we have a worldwide release date? How do we do, and that would have put the budget like astronomically, just trying to like put it out there. So we would have eventually it would have come out, and it would have just been word of mouth, like, and we could have gone that route, but it made more sense to have a release date and, like a push for once, like a good solid push out there. And we were happy, Darren, we've known Darren from Spine Farm for a long time, and he's, every time we play in the city, he comes and we shoot the shit, and it's been, years now, and it just so happened that we ended up at this particular crossroads where we had no label and had a record, and it hadn't been put out yet, so it was kind of like just a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So we went with it, and we're just riding the snake now, just waiting for it to come out and see what happens, and like how far we can take it. It's how we've always done it. If you put too much thought into it or too much worry into it, I think you kind of lose sight along the way of like what's important, which is doing this, coming out and playing and being with the kids,
Yeah. How many new songs are you sticking in the set tonight?
We've been doing the one Sand that dropped 2 weeks ago, a week ago now. We throw in the one we just dropped last night, Air Raid. We throw that in every now and then. We might play it. Kind of depends on how we're feeling, the crowd. Switch up the set every now and then, keep things interesting. But we're definitely going to play one or two, maybe.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice. And how is that making the set after you've got a few albums? And everyone probably has their favorites and whatnot.
Yeah, we try to throw stuff in there off of most every album. We're not playing anything off of like our first EP or anything like that. But we've been known to do that as well on occasion. But we keep it pretty all over the place and throw some curveballs, and it ends up being. This is the 6th show. And they've been pretty awesome. Like the kids have been really digging it. So
cool.
We've been stoked about it.
Yeah,
it's been working out.
I noticed one of the options on the crowdfund deal was a lifetime guest list pass.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a cool idea. I've looked at, every time a band does that, I always look at what the options are, and I've never seen that.
Yeah, we were torn, at first you wonder if it's kind of a risky move to do a crowdfunding site. And I understand where a lot of bands kind of, there's, some DIY like punk bands who frown upon it, I'm sure. And a lot of bands that are probably against it. And I totally understand the reasons why. But for a band like us that, we didn't want to downgrade in our sound or the amount of time we have to record or anything like that. So we basically just took the budget that we had before with Tragic Hero and took the amount of money it would cost to make, all of these perks or whatever, and just kind of, we were really meticulous about the numbers, and then, it costs what it costs. And luckily our fans are, we have developed like a cult following over the years to where our fans are loyal, and like that was the most humbling thing about it, because we had no idea what to expect when we chose the option to like all or nothing. Like if you don't meet your goal, you get no money. So it was a nerve-wracking 30 days, but it was also a humbling experience to just see the kids come out of the woodwork and just say, I've been with you since high school. Like we're gonna continue to push this car up the hill, and now we're like coasting down with this, immense speed, and the response has been overwhelming recently. Just like now the songs are finally coming out and we're hitting the road again really hard. So it's been great. We couldn't ask for more.
I gotta say the Lifetime thing is probably one of the best perks I've seen in these. That was great idea.
It offers a chance to like, make an actual friend out of, your band. And what is it? That's it helped us out a lot. And then we have people that, just holler at us, and then we're coming through the show, and then we hang out and kick it. It's like, it's a cool thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, we looked through, we kind of picked apart like what bands did what thing, and saw some options that we thought were kind of silly, and we were like, we're not going to go that route. And wanted to stick with like a way to kind of promote local artists and promote like kind of a unity vibe, you know, where we're just like throwing some, like just promote our friends who, you know, do handmade craft, like, you know, like artisanship. So we had like the smoking jacket from a company that in our hometown, and a jewelry designer that we know made a necklace after one of mine, and you know, just things like that where we're like promoting other artists as well. I thought it was the best way to go about it and give them a little bit of, you know, like just kind of so people could make the connection, you know, of where we come from and who's been there along the way. But yeah, it ended up being like, I think, one of the best decisions that we could have made over that amount of time. We knew we were going to make another record. There were plenty of options of how to get it done, and that was one of the more risky options, but we just went for it. We're all elated at the outcome. It's been great.
Well, if there's a month and a half left until the album comes out, are you going to release more?
Yeah, we're
singles.
Probably one or two more. I'd like to see one or two more come out. We trying to do it strategically. You know, we're out with Norma Jean for about a month, and then the album drops the day we get to Europe. So we'll be, I think, the first show's in Germany or something like that when the album comes out. So that'll be an interesting thing to watch. Yeah, it'll be the first time that anything like that's happened for us. Usually we're like in the middle of nowhere, you know, like a day off when our album drops. So it'll be cool to be traveling and see it happen across the pond, I guess, as it were.
If you've been working on this for well over a year, like what's this last final stretch like, waiting for it to get out?
I mean, we're ready to make another record, you know, like it's like, it feels like it's time for us to like get back in the studio, because it's been, I mean, you know, there was a lot of, not necessarily red tape, but without a record label at first, really just going on your own, you know, like what you have that you can work out on your own. So it's, it ended up being sometimes arduous, but it was necessary to get the job done, you know, and, we started recording at around middle or whatever December, and so we had to take breaks for the holidays, and you know, coming back and forth, it's like a 2-hour drive from our hometown to where we record. So, you know, if it got stressful, we'd back off and, you know, come back to it, and, you know, a day later or whatever. It's nice to record near home, but yeah, now at this point, it's just been a waiting game of like, you know, you wait for it to come out, and you've heard it a million times, and you just want, you know, you want everybody to have it, you know. But yeah, I mean, we've been home writing new stuff and trying, you know, just having it tucked away, just ready for the next one. But yeah, it's definitely this last stretch, you know, I'm glad that we're on the road to kind of take our mind off of it, because if we were just sitting around tapping our feet, like, probably lose it.
Yeah.
But what do you do? Do you do pre-show warm-ups, vocal warm-ups?
Bourbon.
Right.
Yeah.
That would do it.
Yeah, that's I stamp out my buddy Josh Moore, who actually sang on this album. He did a guest spot on one of these songs. When we were on tour together, he used to sing for a band called Beloved way back in the day. We were on the same label. He used to come to me. He's like, "Man, you don't ever do anything to warm up your voice, man." He's like, "You just stamp out a cigarette and take a nip from the bottle and walk on stage." He's like, "I respect that. I respect that." I mean, I really haven't. Never really done any sort of warming up other than just running my mouth, you know. 99% of the job is just getting up there. 90% of the job showing up.
Right. Is there any artist you've been listening to lately that like had any influence on this album, writing wise?
I just told this story recently. The day that I started recording the vocals was the day after David Bowie died. So it was like I was sitting in my car, like downtown Carborough, just like sitting there waiting to get ready to go to the studio, and I like pulled over for coffee, and I like called my mom, or my mom actually called me to check on me, you know, like because she knew that David Bowie was huge when I was a little kid, like one of my favorite, like The Labyrinth and all of that, and then just she knew that he was my guy for the longest time. And I mean, my mother would never like think to call me about an artist, you know, like that passes away. And so it was definitely strange that not since like Nirvana, you know, like when I was a wee lad did she know, like, oh wow. But like she called me and she's like, are you okay? Like, you know, I heard David Bowie died. I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. And I was like, man, that's crazy that my mom like knew that it affected me. But yeah, that was the day I started. So subconsciously, I think that I had him on my brain because I was jamming that new record constantly. And it was also very weird because me and Denny, our second guitar player, were at the studio, and I pre-ordered the record when he was still alive, and we went to go see the Hateful Eight in 70 millimeter, one of the only theaters in North Carolina that did it there. So we were on the way, and I had pre-ordered that album and got the song, like the first single came with the pre-order on iTunes or whatever, and we listened to it, and it was so eerie and so great, and we were just like, man, this is so good. And then I went back home because I work at a bar, and went back home and was playing the album when I got like the notification on my phone, and I shut the bar down, and I was like, everybody get a last call, it's gonna be a little early because David Bowie just died. And then like everybody gasps, and then like I put on the album. I was like, this is his new record, go buy it right now, go home, get a drink, and I'm gonna sit here and not work anymore. It's just like, then the next day I drove up to start vocals. So I think like, I mean, not that you would ever hear my Bowie influence on this record, or perhaps you would. I didn't do it consciously, but I'm sure subconsciously it wore off of me a little bit because I definitely mourned that for a while. You know? But yeah, as far as new artists, I don't know, man. I mean, I listen to a lot of pop music. We listen to a lot of like hip hop and stuff in the van. I really love Future. I think he's awesome. But yeah, I mean, as far as rock and roll is concerned, like there's not too much. I mean, the new Stones album is killer. I mean, it like blew my mind when that came out. I like that new Ryan Adams a lot. He's a North Carolina boy. So yeah, I mean, we delve into everything. I know a lot of people hate on Spotify a lot, but it really is a great tool for learning about music. You know, like, I mean, I learn about artists constantly from using that, streaming music service. I can't really hate on it too much. I mean, but yeah, it's off the top of my head, there's nothing that's like really like shot at me and like stuck with me very long, other than like there's this band called Policia, a chick singer, real like poppy stuff, airy vocals. I love it. Their new album, I think it's called United Crushers. It's really good, and yeah, like Adams is great. It's just got that hometown kind of feel for me because I grew up listening to his Whiskey Town and followed all his albums that he'd ever put out. So hearing stuff like that, all those bands that make those resurgences too, you know, like the Deftones will always be one of those bands for us. We're just, yeah, like anytime their shit comes out. We just slammed that new Nickelback single too the other day. I know this place got a no Nickelback policy on the jukebox, but that new Nickelback single's heavy, man. It's got some girth to it.
I have not heard it.
It's heavy. It actually is. I mean, I'm not gonna hate on Nickelback. I refuse to do it right now. It is. I like this. I like that song. The new Korn song is heavy as shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do that. I mean, we try to do that at least once a week, just, when new music drops, just to like give it all a spin, just the way we have always done, with bands, like handing you their demos, you know, like fucking listen to it, you know, like give it a shot at least, you know. You never know what you're gonna hear.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna have to listen to the Nickelback song now.
You're gonna have to listen to the Nickelback song. That's all there is to it. You're gonna have to do it right now. We're gonna go in and put it on that jukebox. They're gonna see if they'll skip it.
Yeah, they will. I've seen them do it.
Yeah.
People test them out.
Seen him do it.
I wonder if it's got it on there. If it does, I'll play it right now. It is a solid song. It's a good riff, man. You know, I mean, because they did that when they first came out. Like we don't hate on nu metal, man. We grew up on Seven Dust and Slipknot and fucking. I saw Power Man 5000 like 7 times when I was, first got my license.
Yeah.
But like, you know, you got to give all those bands a chance. I mean, we still blast Slipknot like on the daily. It's just, you know.
I saw a thing going around today that apparently Nickelback covered Sad But True in a concert recently.
Really?
Everybody's talking about how amazing it sounded.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I don't doubt it.
But
why wouldn't it? I mean,
they're like, if you're hating on Nickelback, you need to listen to this.
Yeah, I just saw Metallica doing like one of my favorite Stooges song, TV Eyes.
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't watched that
with
yet.
Iggy.
I saw that today.
Dude,
it came out.
it was killer. It was killer. And I guess they were in Mexico City or whatever. But I mean, Iggy Pop's immortal.
Yeah.
It's like him and Tom Waits are like 2 of the coolest dudes on the planet, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I'm a huge. We're all pretty big Metallica fans, and it's seeing that today. I was just like, damn, because I've been recently, like TVI has been just.
Yeah.
I've been putting it on playlists and stuff. It's
Nice.
such a banger. But yeah, it was cool to see them do that.
I finally saw Iggy Pop live 2 years ago.
That's
Really?
Right Fest. Yeah, we saw him.
Was that with Queens as his backing band, or was that before that
No,
all
it was
went down?
Before that, it was Riot Fest 2015. It was just
Okay.
Iggy Pop. It was great though.
Didn't Danzig play this Riot Fest this year?
Yeah, with
The Misfits
yeah,
with
Misfits.
Danzig. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Man, that would have been something else.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, we blasted Danzig 3 the other night on their way into Nashville, I think it was. When how the gods kill, man. That song's so killer.
Yeah, no kidding.
Well, so you're a fan of Hardwired Self-Destruct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, gotta give those
It's
dudes
like, how do you
credit.
not?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so cool because they have this militant fan base that every band dreams of, and you know, like we were just talking about it earlier today, like their resume is miles long. Like, I mean, you know, like what other band has played in Antarctica, you know?
Right.
Metallica, just like that band that can still pull off what they do, and they're, you know, like, it's just great, man. That's something to strive for.
You know who's playing over here tonight?
Stevie Nicks.
Yeah. You think that'll draw away your fan base?
I'm hoping she comes. Comes to get a Miller High Life with me.
Yeah.
I saw her just a few months ago, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, my mama tells a story about how I used to cry every time her voice would come on the radio. I just, like, something about it, I couldn't stand it when I was a baby, and it used to make me cry.
Wow.
And now it does it for the right reasons. Dreams is, I mean, Rumors is one of the best albums of all time. And I mean, you know, the one that they did at Sound Studios, the first one, Buckingham and Nicks.
Yeah.
That first album that they did together was killer. Stevie Nicks, man. I want her to come up. Somebody needs to go tell her about this shit.
Yeah.
She would dig it. She would. She'd come in and she would probably dig it. Anybody that used to make people blow cocaine in their buttholes probably gonna enjoy a He Is Legend show.
Yeah.
I've got to.
That should be on shirts.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Cool, man. Well, we appreciate your time.
Yeah, thank y'all,
thanks.
man. Nice talking to y'all.
You too. There you go, Schuylar Croom, lead vocalist for He Is Legend. Thank you very much to him for taking the time out to do that. And thank you to Katie Irizarry from Freeman Promotions for setting that up. Thank you to you for listening. Be on the lookout for this new album, Few. It comes out April 28th, so here in about a month and a half. And judging off those first 2 songs, it's going to be a good one.
Yep, gonna be a face melter.
Because it's like, you know, this band, like, how would you, if someone said, what's He Is Legend, how would you describe it? I'm putting you on a spot with that.
I would literally just say rock music, hard rock music.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can't, I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to, shortchange them by saying, oh, they're this, and giving you some little obscure subgenre.
Right.
Because, I mean, they do so much, they do all this different stuff, but like he says, they still keep it like, he is legend. It's still them. And, that's hard to do. That's real hard to do. So, they're pulling it off and, just rock and roll, hard rock, whatever.
You'd call it a subgenre, diverse hard rock.
Okay, there you go.
Started by Faith No More and finished by He Is Legend.
I like it. You just made up a genre.
Right.
I hope you're happy.
Yeah. Sometimes we bitch about genres, but I use them all the time, so what am I going to say?
Yeah, true.
So now we need to make this t-shirt to send to Schuylar that he mentioned about the Stevie Nicks Coke thing.
You're probably actually going to do it, aren't you?
I am going to do that.
Yes.
It needs to be done. Well, we appreciate you listening. If this is your first time listening, you can find us at thethunderunderground.com. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Periscope, which we never use. All that great stuff. And if you're listening on 102.7 WSNR, we appreciate it as well. You can find us on SoundCloud. If you're listening on SoundCloud, hit up WSNR. It's 1027WSNR.com. They play music 24/7, and they play podcast at night. We're on every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. We appreciate them having us on as one of their shows, and look forward to being a part of that for quite a while.
Always.
We're on SoundCloud.com/Thunder-Underground. 111 previous episodes. The episode right before this, here's a note for you. You already know, obviously, was Driver, Mike, and the new singer, Eddie. Well, towards the end of that, you hear a clip where they're talking about the cheap-ass tripod that, we had on the expensive device.
Exactly.
Well, when I got home that night and set it on the table, it fell apart.
It did.
Completely. Into 8 pieces.
It's no more, huh?
Yeah, I could probably put it back together, but it was like $7, so I'm not gonna.
Fuck that tripod.
Right. Hashtag fuck that tripod.
What company made it?
I don't even know. I'll look it up.
Okay, let's look it up so next episode I can be like, fuck that company.
Okay, we'll do
for
it.
making shitty shit.
Yeah. Right. New tripod coming in the future if you guys care to know.
That's right.
Well, 111 previous episodes. Like I said, we had Driver. We've had on guys from Shinedown, from Corrosion and Conformity, from Overkill, from Death Angel, from Megadeth, Crowbar, Battlecross, Sons of Texas, Avatar, Great White, Insight, Warrant, Europe, Trickster. We still haven't had anyone on from Firehouse, which I know is a big disdain of yours.
We'll get there, but
We'll
hey,
get there. Mine too.
We've had guys from Soil, from Drowning Pool.
Yes.
Ian Moore, Shooter Jennings, Eric Kluber. We've had all kinds of guys on.
Yeah, and we mentioned Fist of Rage earlier. We've had them on.
Yeah, that's right.
We've had on a lot of local people. We mentioned Less Than Human. We've been talking about that for a while. We need to get them on here.
We need to do that.
We need to get Modern Myth on here as well.
Yes, yeah, for sure.
So yeah, let's do that.
I'm down.
All right. Well, this has been a good one. Now I just ran out of things to say.
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Friday, I'm going to see Saxon in Dallas.
That's right.
Suck it.
Who's opening for him? Or hold it, it's a co-headline deal, right?
Yeah, I don't know who's on first.
Either way, it's Saxon with UFO.
UFO and some acoustic-y rock guy with 3 first names is his name. I can't remember. James Jared something, or Michael James Jared, or I mean, I'm not nothing against him. I haven't never heard of him. I don't know his name yet.
Michael Dean Anderson?
Something like that. Sean Harris Scott. I don't know. Whatever the fuck.
Sean William Scott?
That guy too. He's there, I think. But I'm going to be there in my denim and leather.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine?
With the Princess of the Night.
Yeah. And she will be there too.
Yeah.
Can you imagine my big ass in some leather pants? It's happening. Watch out.
Well, no, you wear the denim for the pants and then the leather for the top. So.
Oh, shit. Either way, if there's some pictures taken, I'm going to be in trouble.
Right. Well, don't miss. I know you don't you've never paid attention to UFO, but give them a chance, man. They're great.
Oh, I'm going to.
I saw them at the Vanguard a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they were badass.
Well, why aren't you going, fucker? I'm putting you on the spot now.
I've got shit going on
Yeah.
that I can't talk about.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good.
I'll still be reeling from being stuck in the closet, pissed on by R. Kelly. What do you think?
That's right. Or stuck in the closet with Vanna White, whichever.
Well, that would be cool.
Yeah, you know.
Even though she's like 68, I would still be stuck in the closet with her and wouldn't care. Just like Stevie Nicks. Had to throw her name in here one more time.
That's right. I think this is the end.
All right.
I think we're done.
Okay. Until next time.
Thunder Underground, y'all.